Are we up? Who knows? Nothing showing. No idea. I thought I'd already popped that out, but I guess not. Oh, it's a double chat window. What's going on? Okay, we are in the up. Okay. First, come on, guys, give me a break. Give me a break. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Are there people here that were here last night that know what this is that can help tell everybody, or do I have to explain everything, or who knows? And today, unlike yesterday, I remember to put my microphone on so I don't do the first 20 minutes in silence. Busy already. Glasses on, glasses off. Quick question, Solitudes, are they still available? I don't know what to do with the Solitudes. I know, yes, they're still available. We've got a couple of people subscribing to them. My problem is we're having real trouble getting the books made. And during the years I made those Solitudes prints, they were all sold, of course, as part of books, bound into books. That's what we're still doing. And during the 3 years I was making them, the lady who was doing my packing and shipping, she was, trained for that. She and I worked out a system of, I built some tools. We worked out a system of getting the books made. That lady who was with me then is gone. We've got 2 different ladies doing our shipping now. And they're not trained at that. It's not a production line that we have up and running. So I don't know what to do. I've got all the parts. We've got the book pages, we've got the book covers, we've got the prints, we've got everything. But I don't have a skilled person who knows how to put them all together. So I've just sort of left it sit for a while. But more and more people are asking about that. So I've got to bite the bullet, dig out the old tools for it, and decide to either make the remaining 100 books. I've got about 100 prints of each one left. And it's been on my list of things to do, but so all I can, quick easy answer is with the new manager coming, it's going to be one of the things that will be on his list to do. And it's not going to happen in the busy autumn season right now, October, November. But yeah, that project has to come back to life. The prints are in the drawers. They're kind of interesting items. I would like to get it back into action. It was a fun project. It was a terrifying project, but it was a fun project. One of the ladies that was on last night's stream, person who mentioned during the stream last night that she is in Japan and she's coming to Mokuhankan today, that lady is collecting the Solitudes. And must be frustrated with me because I get some of the books out to her and some of the books I don't have in stock, and got to explain to her today what's happening with it. That's also happening more and more often now. You know, there was this lady was a collector of ours. She was here in the shop a couple of years ago, so I knew this person IRL. You know, I knew her in real life. And then we start twitching, and there's Twitch people coming and Twitch people going and talking. And I get an email from her one day saying, "I guess you probably don't realize I'm Twitch user such and such." And I'd had no idea. You know, I have this sort of generic idea in my mind. This is wrong, I know, of the Twitch community as being mostly young males, gamers, whatever, you know. And yet this lady, who is somewhere probably around my age, I guess, is there watching this thing frequently, you know. She's not my age, I don't think. I don't know, whatever. So I'm learning bit by bit. It's impossible to understand who these people are just by these handle names that I see, you know. And don't fall into the easy assumption that everybody here on Twitch is a, you know, whatever, 15-year-old gamer or something. So I'm learning that's not what it's like. Oops, upside down. Got some questions about this gift print image, which we could throw out for ideas. You know, me and the staff yesterday, when we chose this, we were browsing the net looking for interesting ideas for a gift print image, and this one turned up yesterday afternoon. About somewhere around 4 o'clock or so, we'd been hunting during a gap in the business of the shop, and somewhere around 4 o'clock we found it, and that's it. We instantly realized this would be a great one for this year's gift. So we quickly, one of the staff downloaded the large images from the museum. It was a zoom-in type of thing, so she had to paste them all together in Photoshop. We quickly got a copy of it, pasted it down on the blog, and got going, all within a few minutes of finding the image. But there's a bunch of questions about it. And have we got a link here to the image? It was in last night's chat. Has somebody done it? Here we are. It's in here, right? It's not the New Year's card. This has nothing to do with the New Year's card. This is a gift print. Okay, somebody's linked to it here already, I see. One of the three. There's 3 images online. There's one from the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. There's one in the British Museum and one in the, I forget the third one, Harvard. Where was it? I don't remember. And they're all 3 different printers, same blocks, different printers. And this was very much a junk print. The printing quality is really poor in those images you see there. So what we need from this thing is we just need the core concept, this owl on the branch, and all the rest of it. What color to use for the background, what colors to use overall, how to approach this thing. It's completely free. It's public domain stuff. This is, 1850s, I think. There's no rights here. Anyway, question I was going to ask is this. If you see the original there that was linked up in the thread, the chat here a minute ago, the moon is about as clumsily drawn as is possible. It's not round, for one, and the positioning, it comes really close, a huge thing coming up close to the owl. So what we were thinking yesterday was that let's, number one, should we clean it up, make it rounder and neater? We're definitely going to clean up the background printing. We're going to do it neat and smooth and beautiful. How many more adaptations should we or could we make on this? There's no way my DNA is going to allow me to cut the moon in that ragged shape that's in that image there. Just I can't. Should I pop it into the image here? Should I get it? Another point about this too, which we were touched on last night, this is purportedly a print by Hiroshige, very famous name of his day. But I've got to put that purportedly in, because there was a huge amount of ripping stuff off back then. There was no copyrights, there was no protection of any kind like that. And it's really, really well known by people who do research on this kind of stuff that, you know, there were dozens of publishing companies, dozens of people doing this kind of work, dozens, many more than that. And when something put out by a publishing company down the street was looking good, you could just make your own version of it. So if for a certain time Hiroshige nature prints were popular, people would just draw stuff. Here, Mr. Artist, sit down, draw me something, and let's put Hiroshige's name on it, because that's the name people want to see this week. There were no protections. So whether this is really a Hiroshige or just some guy sitting down and saying, let's make one, it's very, very much possible. One of his more famous published series, the Tanzaku series, had an owl sleeping in front of a moon. So it's a no-brainer that somebody down the street could say, let's make a small version of that. There's no way we can tell ever, so just let it go. But the point being that for me to sit here and edit it is not something as shocking as it might sound. Who's David to decide he's going to edit? You know, musicians don't come along and change the last coda in Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. You know, you leave it. But that's a different situation. We really clearly understand that's what Beethoven wrote. You know, of course, this is a bit different. What is this part? These are just larger feathers, are they? It's not a tree branch. I'm not quite sure what it is I'm looking at here. Also, I shouldn't be using the microscope for this job, you know, it doesn't need this level of close-up. I'm not sure how to move forward with this scope and lens business. We found when I was doing some of the octopus carving that when I do it like this with a scope, because the field of view is set at a particular point on my desk, the camera can sit there pointed at that same point, and I rotate the block and work on the block. You know, when I do this, I bring it back to the same point, so the carving spot always stays right perfectly on the lens, under the camera lens. But if I'm not using the microscope, if I'm using either nothing or that black normal lens, then it doesn't have a specific spot that it's focused on, and I can't keep the work in the same spot on the desk so that the camera lens can find it. So I can either zoom out and you see the top of my head and a little tiny block on the bench, Or I can do it this way, I don't know. It's okay, I mean I can do it this way into the scope, but it means I end up losing my ability to do it any other way, bit by bit. I'm not sure how to continue with this. Some kind of auto-tracking camera system, maybe there was a dot on my fingernail here or something, and the camera just followed it automatically, so it didn't matter where I move the block and what I do with it, the camera can catch that thing on my fingernail and always go to the right place, That's probably doable, Because that's always there, that place right there. As long as the camera knows to go to that spot, it's going to be where the carving is. Oh, nice one. Nice one. Talk. Yeah, I was thinking about making the moon smaller, I was thinking. Wherever we are, Ushigumi Kagurazaka, I don't know, we've asked Doi Hangate. We can't print that ourselves. I'm going back up the thread a little bit. Ushigumi Kagurazaka. We don't have a staff member here that can print it, so we're at the behest of Doi Hanga. If they have any more in the drawers, I don't know. So I'm sorry. If you tell me, throw me in the back an email so that I can see that and answer it later. I'll give a phone call. Yeah, Nights doesn't have a quota. Picky. Why do you say I served time as a concert flautist? That's an interesting expression there. Yeah, that was my dream for many years. I got pretty good at it, but I wasn't good enough. I didn't have the full spectrum of talents necessary. The one I was missing was the sit down and do hard work on stuff that isn't fun. That's what I was missing. What do you call it? Whatever, practicing. I had fun with it. I had such good fun with music for those years, It was about 10, 12 years, I guess. I don't know. I had such fun with it. I thought it was the world's greatest. Do this by zones, obviously, area by area by area. Owl feathers. Last week it was octopus dots. This week it's owl feathers. This is nothing, no. I know somebody up thread here a minute ago referenced that Solitudes series I did. And those prints have multi-layers of, what is it? I don't know, shading and toning and stuff. They sort of look photographic, showing their roots, obviously. And those things, you know, like there's a tree trunk there or a rock in the sea or something, and it's got all levels of gray and tone and whatever, and that's all carved in, you know, in the dots, in the shape of it. So this is nothing. These things have taste and shape, each one of these lines. It's a brushstroke. Soup, 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 narrow, thick, narrow, thick, narrow, thick. Each one of these has taste. I spent 3 years carving that Solitude series, and none of it was brushed. There were no brush lines. And you know, you look at that tree trunk, whatever, on one of those prints, and it's multi-layer, multi-layer, multi-layer of just random light shadow dots. All of different, just ugly shapes. There was no shape to anything. So this is nothing. This is pleasant. There's a meaning to every line and every cut and every stroke here. But that Solitude series, that was a chore. The only saving grace on that was that Dave, you know, get busy on this, but you know where you're going. At the end of the day, it'll look like an attractive print. But each dot under your knife is not attractive at all. So it was an absolute chore. Something you had to get through for the purpose of getting a specific result. This one today here, this is different. This is not a chore. Okay, this is not a chore. This is pleasant work. There's a big difference in those things. You know. That might be for today. Let me check that just so I know what to expect at 10 o'clock. Will the blue sky have the pattern in the final print? You're talking about this owl. No, that pattern in that blue sky is terrible printing. It's the guy just smacking the brush on with too much glue. So no, we are going to do a nice, smooth, beautiful, proper background. The dance break, it's a party reservation. Again, before I forget what I'm doing, let me just check the reservation page here. Excuse me a moment. It is, it's for today, okay, but not the morning, one afternoon, okay, no problem, no rush. No, you seen that blue scratchy stuff in the sky on that image? This is a mistake, it's an error, it's junk, it is not a good thing. Wrong way. Wrong way. Not much better this way. Ugly piece of wood. Okay, where to next? Which way? Let's come around this, I guess. That door slamming outside, that's the kimono rental shop next door. Staff is getting ready in the morning to get going. And there's been a change outside there. You've heard me talk about the restaurant smells. Yoshikami, the old-fashioned Showa-era restaurant. They're still there, of course. They're not going to change. They'll be here long after I'm gone. They are a forever institution, I'm sure. But the French bistro in the alley behind us, they opened about, was it 7 or 8 months ago? Maybe it's a year, I don't know. Anyway, they packed it up. They've gone. I was walking past there last night. It looked a bit quiet, so I looked in the window, and it's gutted. All the cooking, the range, and everything's gone. It's emptied. The chairs are upside down. They've obviously made a quick run to get out of there, taking away some of the expensive gear, which makes me suspect that they probably haven't paid rent for X number of months. So they left chairs and tables. They took some of the expensive kitchenware stuff. So it's landlords, it's rent. Landlords just set the rent as high as they possibly can. They try to maximize, whatever the maximum they can get from it, and shops just struggle and struggle and struggle, barely keeping alive. There's a new place just around the corner for us. It's in its second year, maybe it's in its third year now, Marugoto Nippon. It's a large building. It's in the bottom 3 floors of a big hotel building. Massive, massive place. On those 3 floors, it's a kind of a deal where places from all over Japan come and show off their stuff. So some of the things up on the 2nd and 3rd floor, they're sponsored by regional governments, obviously. And the governments, pay for the space, and then they take turns with different producers from their regional area showing their stuff here in the capital city. So that part of it's clearly sponsored. The rent's no problem. But the ground floor, the part that faces the main road, is different. It's nothing to do with those governments. It's just rented by the owner of the building. And it's a restaurant row. There's room for 2 or 3 restaurants there. And because it faces the main street, and it's in a super modern, elegant building, and blah, 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 obviously the rent is extremely high. But what's happened is, obviously, the owners of the building want to maximize what they're getting, so they've set the rent. And it's so high, and I said, it's now, I think it's in its 3rd year, and I haven't kept track, so I can't give this to you as a matter of absolute fact, but there's like 4 or 5 or 6 restaurants have come and gone in that space of a couple of years. They look at it, they do their calculations, they swallow what the rent, they say, well, we'll give it a try, and then that's it. 5 months later, bang, they're gone. They just haven't had enough traffic. And they're busy. It's on a main street. No matter what kind of restaurant you open there, it's always jammed. All the restaurants around here just jammed all the time. But if you can't make it as a restaurant, even when you're jammed every day, what does that say about your costs? So these landlords are just, they're trying to take it all for themselves and leave nothing on the table. We ourselves got really, really, really lucky, like once in a lifetime lucky chance when we got this building here. The landlady is not the gouging type. She just wants a stable tenant who will take care of her building. She's got 2 or 3 other buildings. She's a little old lady. She has no kids, no family. She's not worried about how many millions of dollars she can gouge out of it. She just wants to be a stable part of society and take care of her own future. And how we got lucky enough to find one like that, I can't imagine. And we're good for her. Man, are we good for her. We've put new toilets in every floor. We've renovated this place. I've rewired the whole 2nd floor. None of that becomes my property. It's all part of the building. It's her stuff. We have given her all these things, That works both ways. She's fair to us. And we think we can trust her. There's no reason that her personality is going to change. We could never have done this without this. If we were paying a normal rent for this district, we know what they are. There's a real estate agent right across the street from us with signs in the window, shops for rent, And even a shop nearby here on a 2nd floor, a 1/3 of the size of what we've got, is roughly about the rent we're paying. So we've got about 3 times the space for the same amount of money. The big question mark over there, a couple of question marks. One is her age, what's going to happen, when she's not here. That's not secured yet. And the second is what happens when the earthquake comes. Because it's on the way, we don't know. Tomorrow or 10 years or whatever, Tokyo is hugely overdue for a monster earthquake. I should be peeking here. Marugoto Nippon. So, our shop, the building we're here, has a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful history. It's really got I mean, it's just, we got so lucky with this place. It's unbelievable. I know. You go back to the end of the Edo era, just when Japan was really sort of modernizing. They changed to Meiji and stuff like that. And the concept of something like there was no word for restaurant in the Japanese language before the Westerners came. There were, people ate obviously, but there was no eating out in the sense of you would go out to an eating house. In areas where there was travel, of course, on the Tokaido Road, whatever, there were inns and places where people stayed, and food was put in front of you as part of that. But people in an urban environment, it wasn't a question of where shall we go out to eat tonight. It wasn't like that. There were noodle vendors here and there and stuff like that, but it wasn't a restaurant culture as such. So come the modernization, this is 1850s into the 60s, 1870s, and coming up like that. And the first word that we see that tells us that it's something like this is a word called shokudo. Literally eating place, shokudo. Now the word shokudo is only used for places like school cafeterias or in a company office up on the 5th floor where the staff can get some food. It's a shokudo. But shokudo was the first word used to indicate places where normal people could go and get some food. And the historians, it's a book on the history of this Asakusa area, and in there they describe a place called Noguchi Shokudo, and it apparently was the third place to set up business as an eating establishment in early mid-Meiji. And it wasn't in this location at that time, but Noguchi Shokudo was the same business that passed on and closed down and reopened and moved and burned down and reopened and moved and whatever all through those years, 1870s, 80s, 90s, into 1900s. And we have a map of the Asakusa area, and it's a map of the Asakusa area as of 1951, which is the year I was born. And there's Noguchi Shokudo. Here, this is the building that one late incarnation of Noguchi Shokudo was in. So in a bit of a twisted history of using the word literally loosely, we are in the building that was one of the very first restaurants ever opened in Japan. I mean, not in this concrete building that I'm sitting in, but that organization in this area. And it changed and changed and changed over the years. So the guy in the antique shop next door has really followed this. He's really, really interested in this stuff. So he's collected old photographs and he's got old maps that show where it was and stuff like that. And the company grew and shrank and grew and shrank and changed over the years. And the building I'm in, plus the oyster restaurant next door, plus the antique shop in the back, all used to be part of the same structure when Noguchi Shokudo was in its heyday, I guess, in the Taisho era. And the antique shop hasn't been reformed since that day. It's got the old kitchen area there. It's got the old area where the girls upstairs worked and stuff like that. Because restaurants offered different services, and you could eat downstairs and upstairs. There's these little small rooms where different stuff happened. And this was an interesting area. Anyway, his building hasn't been renovated since that time. So he's got all these little rooms upstairs. It's really fun. It's really, But our part of the structure was sold off and rebuilt, and the building I'm in now was part of the Noguchi Shokudo group, and it was a boar meat restaurant when it was rebuilt and restructured, and this would be in the late 50s through the 60s into the 70s. Boar meat, I don't know, wild boar, wild pig, whatever. You don't find such a restaurant here in Japan anymore. That they got off eating game some years back. And the room I'm sitting in right now, I don't know if I can show if it'll show or not. The ceiling is left over from the days of the latest incarnation of the Noguchi Shokudo restaurant. And I don't know if it's going to show. It's built in imitation of a Japanese umbrella. my light up there, we put the light in ourselves. It's probably going to wash it out. I'm sorry. Maybe you can't see. It's a wagasa, a Japanese umbrella. And if any of you have been here for parties, in the party room, the room up there, the ceiling is left over from the restaurant days. And it's a very, very rare example of 1950s architecture. And people have asked us already. People who know about that stuff have asked us, don't you dare tear that down. If you're going to do a renovation in either of these rooms, the front room and this room, they've asked us, please call us because we want to preserve those roof structures. So yeah, I'm carving underneath a 1950s version of a Japanese wagasa. Bormi tene. Shinya shokudo shokudo. Yeah, shokudo, there's the kanji. Thank you very much. There's also a great thing about the ceiling. It's no good telling you the story because you've got to be able to see it. Any of you are coming, when you're here, make a mental note to come into this back room or have one of us bring you into this back room and check out the bamboo. You just saw that thing right now. There's the ribs of this umbrella that are up there. They're bamboo, and they're not just cut from bamboo. They look like bamboo, but they're square. Square bamboo, as in like 4 sides, square, growing up bamboo. And we were very much puzzled as to what's going on. You know, it's possible recently they've been selling square melons and stuff like that. They grow them inside boxes or something. The melon grows up and it fits, as it grows, it fills this square box, whatever. And I had heard somewhere of a temple down in Kyoto somewhere where they grew semi-square bamboo by growing it inside these boxes. This is not that. This is actual square bamboo. You can see the corners are sharp, and yet this is not some plastic imitation with bamboo pattern on it. This is real bamboo, and it's square. And I'm not going to tell the story now to give it away, but I'm just going to leave this because you've got to be able to see this to get what's going on. There's when you know, you know. When you don't know, you don't know. And when you see this stuff, what is going on? And it puzzled us for the longest time till we finally figured it out based on a tip from somebody who had heard about this before. How do you make a ceiling with square bamboo? Where do you find the square bamboo? We should do a blog post about it one day, but I got nothing else to do. Speaking about blog posts, an interesting one came up yesterday. Very interesting one. This is fun. You know, we've been trying to find printers. Ayumi-san is leaving us because she's pregnant. And I've been casting my net wider and deeper than I've ever done before to try and find people who could print for us. And I've specifically been looking for young men. As part of that search, what we've been doing is trying to locate or isolate people who did work in this field some years ago, who got trained at it, and then for some reason decided to quit. You know, we want to get them to come back. That's how we got Kawasaki-san, our young lady who's doing carving of all our subscription prints. So whatever, asking questions here, asking questions there, looking for something, talking to Matsaki-san workshop. Hey, whatever happened to that young boy, Shimoi-san, was working for you a few years ago? You know, he says, well, I don't know. He's just gone. No contact, no phone, no nothing. Okay, whatever. We know there's this young boy, Shimoi-san, who trained as a printer for a few years. Let it go. One of our people a few weeks ago was we just tried Google searching, for these names of these people who we knew were printers. Anyway, Shimoi-san's name pops up on this little page of a gallery exhibition happening in Shibuya. It's got a picture of a print he made, so we know he's out there. We phone them, we try and get a contact. They don't know where he is, whatever. But different staff members, Ishikawa-san did turn up. She phoned around and got somebody who had a phone number for this boy. So she phones him, and yep, he's still alive. No, he's not doing printing for hire. It turns out what he's doing, he wants to become, can I say this without whatever? He wants to become another Dave Bull. He had worked as a printer, but he wanted to do more. He wants to make prints as much as possible the way they were made back in the Edo period. I mean, more so than me. We make prints of the ukiyo-e type, but I'm not one of these, what's the word? Recreators who wants to recreate every single tiny, I will only use steel that was made the same way. I will only use the same pigments that were made back in the Edo period. We don't do that. We make prints using the same technology here. But when we print this owl, we're going to use mineral pigments, because we know that if we use the old delicate pigments that came from flower petals, the thing will fade in 15 minutes. So we've adapted to a certain extent to modern sensibilities. This guy wants to do historical, what's the word? Historical recreation at it like a molecular level. Well, he's training himself to carve and print. He wants to be me. He wants to do what I did, at an even more specific, careful level. And he just disappeared to go and do this by himself. He's carved. It turns out he's done 3 or 4 prints now. He's actually opened a little shop over on the other side of Tokyo. He's not coming to me for advice. He's doing this himself, just exactly the same way I did. Carving and printing and working and learning and carving and printing and working and learning. He must be about 26 or 7 or 8, somewhere around there. Anyway, we found this. It turns out he's got a Facebook page. So I call him, we chat, this and that. And my number one question is, while you're doing all your other interesting work, would you take on some printing work? And the answer is yes, because he is trying to do this, but in no way can he make a living at this yet. As far as I know, he may never have sold a print. I don't have any idea. He's put his shingle up, but doing that and selling stuff's a different story. Anyway, long story short, what we did, he's now doing a test printing run for us. And yesterday when I saw his Facebook page, I thought, let's do this. So he has put some simple English on his own Facebook page, which had 4 likes after the few months it's been up. And we linked it yesterday. Not linked, what's the word? Share? From our own Facebook page yesterday. And we shared his page, and it's exploded. He's now got 100x likes, and we're getting inquiries to our Facebook page. How do I buy this guy's prints? Where do I get them? So maybe somebody, I don't know if somebody's probably already found this and posted it while I've been talking about it. If you go to my Facebook page and look at the post I made yesterday, just the last post, and it links to his, and you can see his, and there's something really fun there. He has done his version of the Great Wave. And apparently he got it finished just the last couple of days. So yesterday on his page, he made his first post about, here it is, here's the version of Hokusai's famous Great Wave. So we have ours available and out and around, and this young boy has now got his own version of the Great Wave available. He's a nice guy, I spoke to him just a little bit. It turned out I'd spoken to him years ago. I'd met him somewhere else without knowing much about him or what he wanted to do, whatever. He's very, very, very shy. And he hadn't dared talk to me because he had thought I was going to be like, sort of, what are you doing, horning it on my turf, boy, get out of town, which we don't play that game here, So he had avoided contact with me. But now we're talking. He's a nice boy, young. Whether he will make it, I don't know. Whether he will really be able to pull off making beautiful prints, I don't know. The work on his page there is it's young. He's still very, very young. But the more the merrier, the more people who are trying to do this, the better we are. The better the supply chain will come back together. The more consumers will be interested in it. So I really regret that he sort of hid from me for so long. So. somebody put it there? Yeah, there he is. And he's really, really a shy guy. He has trouble just even talking to you about anything. You know, he obviously, for him, the best job will be simply not to run his own business, but to be hired by somebody, just sit in the back room making stuff. You know, clearly that's what's best for him. And I shouldn't try and predict his future and our future, but you know, we've got the structure here. But at the moment, he's trying to make a go of it by himself. So whatever we can do to help him get going, that's fine. You know. Although he would never, ever, ever ask or expect or anything like that. He probably feels that we're competitors. I don't know. And also, I'm sure in his mind, because of this thing about the pigments, you'll see posts on his page about he's trying to recreate pigments as they were in that day. So, and I don't, so he probably thinks of himself as being, I'm going to do real reproductions, unlike what Dave's doing. You know. And that's fine. You know. My interest lies in different areas. So. And there's one more background thought when I saw this and learned what he was doing, you know. I think I can safely mention this on this stream because my own staff, other than Kawai-san, isn't watching it, but he's a young man interested in woodblock prints, traditional, 20-odd years old. I've got, what is it, three girls here now, still in their 30s, single, have trouble with people, you know, so maybe there's something that we could cook up together here, who knows. Where am I? What's next? This side's a bit scrappy, you know. The other side was neat and clean, all in rows. This side's a bit scrappy, just some dirty feathers here. Whatever, just chop them, Dave. What is Dave Bull's review of Shimoi's Great Wave? I want to see it close up. There's some pictures he put up yesterday afternoon. The ones he put yesterday afternoon, and whatever. He's very, very young, and I think he's perhaps at the moment he's bitten off a bit more than he can chew. I don't know. I'm not sure. I've got to be careful because it sounds, you know, if I say anything negative about it, it sounds like, you know, I'm shooting at the guy, and I'm not. I think he should have held back on that project until he had a bit more experience. Honestly, you know. Also, what he did was, as he mentions in his post, he didn't have access to an original, he says. So what he got was just a current version that's on the market these days and traced it. And my God, that's a vast mistake. He doesn't have the experience yet to know just how bad those things are. So he has not used a good master. Can you hear that? Footsteps upstairs? And then looking at, he's got this series of, what is it, 5 or 6 photographs that show, you know, the progress of the colors, one block and then the others and then the others. And the very first of those photographs shows blotched pigment in all the fine lines and whatever. I know, without wanting to be in any way insulting, I think his eyes are a little, what's his word? Your eyes are bigger than your mouth. What's the expression? He's reaching a bit too far, I think. But I don't care. He's up and running. He's going. Let's go. He's only going to get better. If he's got an eye for this stuff, he will only get better as time goes by. And my God, if I look back at the stuff I put out first, it just makes me want to barf. So it's okay. You've got to work through it. So yeah, I don't think we'll be offering him to put his prints in our shop. Not just yet, but absolutely, if he can start to get it together to make tasteful, attractive work. I'm glad I remembered about that one to mention this. So. Yeah, so disliking, exactly. I know that thing about disliking your old stuff, if that's not happening, then something's wrong. If you're still happy with the stuff you made 30 years ago, then, you know, this is an indication that you're not going anywhere. So absolutely. Absolutely. There's lots of activity above my head here. What's going on? More than normal. The pitter-patter of little feet. Because I was talking about that roof. We have residents, you know, in the ceiling. I know when we renovated the second floor, we destroyed rats' nests. We left the windows open at night while we tried to fumigate and smash nests, whatever, so that they would, as much as possible, leave the building. But there's definitely some still in there. We never see them in the shop area. We don't see droppings. We've got it pretty much sealed. We tried to seal the shop away from the above roof area. But because we don't have access to the first floor, we can't totally get between the floors from the second and the first, and there's creatures living in there. And we tried and failed to block all the routes that lead from the third floor to the first floor in the walls, inside the walls. There's one place just behind the main computer in the shop where there's a route through the wall, down under the floor on our second floor, into the ceiling above the first floor. So that the rats come from that ceiling above the first floor. They come up the wall behind our iMac into our top ceiling between the second floor and third floor. That's where they're living. And in the next level of renovations we're planning for this place, we're going to seal off that route, that inside the wall highway. And about that next level of renovations, I can say nothing because I'm literally under an NDA about that. And that may be lifted November 15th this year. That's the target date, November 15th. I'm sure I can mention that date just without mentioning what it's about. I'm getting used to these NDAs. I was under one for when that documentary was under preparation, you know. Literally, we had to sign an NDA that didn't let the world know we were having a documentary being made about us, you know. How he thought that could have helped anything, I don't know. But, we could have been giving him 2 years of prime publicity to build it up. Instead, we were just supposed to shut up. And now that the documentary's done and out there, he can't sell it for love or money. And we could have given him 2 years of cooking and preparation and teasing. And Hollywood dudes, they don't know their head. Just an update on that documentary. There is no update. The makers are still trying to sell it in America. They have the idea that they can get theatrical release for it. I think they're living in cuckoo land. They gave up on such thoughts in Japan and just sold it straight out to Netflix. So our documentary's on Netflix here in Japan, but not anywhere else in the world. They're still, he says, they're still negotiating here and there. But it's been nearly 3 years now, so ain't going to happen, I think. Oh, we have a bot here, do we? Is it going to quieten down there? I see. Okay. The documentary, it's been renamed. The original name of it was just Ukiyo-e Heroes, the documentary. And that's what it's here in Netflix in Japan. If people with a Japanese Netflix account search for Ukiyo-e Heroes, the documentary. But somewhere along the line, he had an idea for a new name for it, and he's trying to market it in North America under the title The Art of the Game, which is actually not so bad. Art of the game, right? Game art, get it? The art of the game. And there's trailers for it here and there. He's put a couple of trailers up on YouTube. And I myself, I've only seen it once at that film festival screening back in Toronto Film Festival. No, I forget the name of it. A film festival in Toronto last spring. I guess at some point the producer's just going to give up. He's just going to put it on Netflix, which I guess pays, I don't know, next to nothing. Penny per view or something, whatever it is. I have no idea. But he's not ready to give up yet. So. But our agreement with him, it was first an NDA not to talk about it, but once he went to film festivals, that part of it became open. It was a public thing. But the other part of the agreement we signed was that we will give him exclusive access to ourselves in terms of making a documentary. We gave him a 3-year period. That within 3 years, we would, his fear was that if he made a documentary of us and then we turned around and did the same thing with the BBC or something, he'd be up shit creek. So it was fair enough. So we did. We signed an agreement with him saying we will not, work with another filmmaker for the period. And that expires, I think it's the end of December this year, or it's December the 15th. I can't remember the exact date of the month that we signed the thing. But that expires now at the end of this year. And we're getting mail. I get mail. Jed gets mail. Everybody, of course, who's got a little camera thinks, oh my God, I can go and make a movie about these guys. We're all going to be rich and famous, and whatever. It's not so simple, So I don't know. What's the next serious offer that will come down the pike? I don't know. We can't do anything about it right now, but come December, we would be able to say yes, legally, to another offer of that sort. Because we have a good story. Yeah, it's not up to me. I'm sorry. It's not my documentary. I was sitting in front of the camera talking, but it's not my film. I have no rights to it. It's not mine. I had no say in the script, nothing. Of course, the documentary belongs to somebody else. It's just about me and Jed. So I can't help you. Everybody's asking me, Dave, get it on Netflix, and it's nothing to do with me. It's helping us here in Japan. We get people, I can't say every day, but whatever. We get people in the shop all the time. Hey, I saw it on Netflix. For the first few weeks when it was on Netflix here, it was featured on there, I can't say front page, I don't know how it works. You know, when you click to, say, the documentaries category, Netflix must recommend a bunch of stuff. And we were at the top of that list there for at least the first few weeks it was up. We've probably been replaced by something else now, I guess. I don't know. I don't have a TV set up here, so. Oops, lost the shape on that one. How can I fix it? Let's just shave the tail. Okay. Looks like a feather again. Yeah, next documentary, whatever, I know. Okay, Netflix. The thing about a documentary, you know, is sort of by definition, the people who are in front of the camera are not in any way connected to the people behind the camera, you know. So, you know, some suggestion here for the next documentary should be such and such, should be such and such, you know. It's you can't be involved with it, you know. The way this one worked, in theory, was what a documentary should be. We just sign away that they can come in here, and then we have no more discussions about what it is that they're going to make. I mean, obviously, the subject of a documentary can't be involved in its production. Otherwise, it's not a documentary. It's whatever. It's a movie or something, you know. And that's the way it's got to be. But because of that, this one just got totally in the wrong direction. And we trusted these people to come in and do this. But it turned out that he was totally the wrong person to choose for this job. I think we've had this conversation before here on Twitch. The guy came in with a script. Not a script in the sense of, here, hi Dave, read this, say this. I don't mean like that. But he came in with a script in the sense of he knew the story already. He knew the story he wanted to tell. He knew how he wanted to tell it. He had it all worked out. And I don't think, unless I'm being kind of naive, I don't think that's how a documentary works. A documentary filmmaker sort of sees a topic or sees something, and then all he knows is, man, there's a story in there, or there's a bunch of stories in there, and it's my job to go in there and find them and show them to the world. But if the documentary guy comes in with the idea that here's the story I want to tell, then that's, to me, that's not a documentary. It's PR or you know, or a movie or whatever, you know. And I didn't really grok this. I knew intellectually that thing, but I didn't realize that he already had everything worked out in his mind, you know. So for me, all I got to do is sit there and carve, and then he pokes me with the questions that are designed to elicit the specific response that he wants, you know. And he missed everything. We have such an interesting backstory here. He just didn't see it because he wasn't looking, you know. So this documentary now, everybody wants to see it. I tell you, it's okay. And if you're already interested in our work, you'll be interested in seeing this happen. But in no way is it an interesting documentary in the sense of, you know, people who weren't already interested in our work are going to discover something wonderful, you know. He just didn't have his eyes open, came in with a whatever, I don't want to talk about it. So next time, I don't know. October is coming. Can I check that again, excuse me, please? helicopter noises. What did I do? Or was there a helicopter? Sorry, I didn't know. Party reservation is, it's for today, 2:30, another group of 2. Look at this. We're lucky. They're stacking up. So that's 1 o'clock for 2, 2:30 for 2. Nothing for 10 o'clock yet. Party time. No, it's a print party here at Mokuhankan. A print party. Kawai-san's on duty today, along with Doi-san, the older guy who doesn't do parties, so I myself will be working with Kawai-san on the parties. And if I know anything about this, we must be like 9 o'clock or something now. It's 9:11. Kawai-san sitting in the coffee shop across the street. He's got this stream. Kawai-san, good morning. He's got this stream up on his iPhone, and he's also refreshing. He's heard that music too, so he's refreshing the staff schedule today so that he can see what kind of work is coming up. We're also predictable here. You know, my system, the software system we built here, that somebody on the net clicked on our reservation page to reserve the party. Bingo. They got a confirmation. It was in red. Do you really want 2:30 this date? Confirm. Hi. They go through, and when they confirm, the scripts all write it into our database. It changes the calendar that's online so nobody else can book that same time. It updates our staff scheduling database. So Kawai-san's work projects for today show the 2 parties that are there. And of course, at the last step, it sends me this email so that I'm in touch with what's going on. And this is part of the reason why we couldn't really cooperate with the Airbnb people, because our system is kind of sophisticated and we didn't want to screw it up. And if they'd given me an API, I could have integrated with their system, but they weren't interested in having anybody do that, so. Which I get, fair enough. So it was no go, it was all or nothing. So Airbnb, no thank you. We're doing very nicely with our IT around here. We have a beautiful, beautiful system coming together bit by bit. So there is something I could ask them. Now, the last couple of days we've had 2 occasions where people haven't showed up. They've made a reservation and didn't show up. And when I sent the follow-up email later, just to try and figure out what was going on, both of them said the same thing. Well, I didn't mean September 20th, I meant October 20th. I made a mistake when making the reservation. And I've gone back to our reservation page and looked at it and thought, how can I make this a bit more clear? How can I make it, whatever? I don't know. I think it's pretty clear, when that person had clicked September 20th, the actual calendar date, he clicks in the box on a calendar that says September at the top, and then he got a pop-up window that said, do you really want in red September 20th, 2:30, blah, blah, blah. And he then had to click through another confirmation. But people are making this mistake. They're getting the wrong month. So once, okay, no problem. Twice, okay. But if it keeps happening, it's the programmer's mistake. You can't just blame the users. If every user is making the same mistake, then by definition, it's the UI designer's mistake, or the programmer's mistake. So I better get back there and try and sort it out and see how I can make it clearer. I don't know, It's a huge problem with testing any software. You know how it works, so you can't test it, so. And the real world testing here is mostly okay, but it's showing an increasing number of people who make the same mistake. The page I'm talking about, it's mokuhankan.com/parties. And it's the calendar that's partway down the page. You know, those 2 reservations you've heard during this morning's stream here have both come from that page. Mokuhankan.com/parties. And I thought the calendar was okay. And for most people it's okay. But there's more mistakes than I think is acceptable. So people are not getting the time wrong. They're getting either the wrong day or the wrong month. Dave, are you a programmer in another life? I'm a programmer in this life. I build all our systems here, everything. That's why the web programming is so old-fashioned and out of date. Our web page first went up in 1997, July of 1997. And there are pages on my website that date from July of 1997, before there was such a thing as CSS and stuff. So whatever you see on our website that's good, I'm responsible for it. Whatever you see there that's bad and out of date and old-fashioned and non-responsive, I'm responsible for it. And we're just patching it together bit by bit. Newer pages are responsive. They work on mobile. Older pages are hopeless on mobile. And it's a 21 years worth of rat's nest now. And my God, it needs a rebuild. Then in-house software. I write software for my app for Mac OS X. And all our bookkeeping runs on on our Macs here. My laptop and the iMac in the shop. I have custom Mac OS X software, OS 10 software. You're supposed to say 10, I know. I have a lot of fun building it, a lot of fun. And yeah, it's no good swapping tales about how long we've been this. I started 1979. I rented time on a PDP-7 installation in Toronto to learn how to do stuff. And it was assembler at first. And I never intend ever to look at another line of assembler code in my life, nor do I need to, of course. But it was great fun. Great fun. We're coming along here. It's coming nicely. Owl feathers, owl feathers. Make the date very large. Yeah, I could make the font larger, absolutely. October is the center tab. But it's not just something that's happening right now with the center tab. I think it's... I was born in July 1997. Oh, give me a break. You mean my website is older than some of you guys? Selected month on calendar could be more prominent. You mean on the calendar itself, the dates, the months should be larger? It is highlighted, nay. I never thought of that, you know, tossing out stuff to the Twitch stream to do testing for me. But then I don't know. I suspect there's a what's the word? A bias towards programmers and stuff in this particular group of people. So I don't know. I'm not sure if they're typical users or not. Who knows? I forgot to copy that. I hear a key in the door downstairs, so I think we're going to hear our usual morning sounds any moment now. Is that what time it is? Yep, 9:23. Here we are, footsteps, ping pong, here we go. That must be Kawai-san. Could be Doi-san, who knows? Those two guys will be here together today. So I should begin to start to set the schedule here. I know today's Monday. Now that I've got a good steady bunch of work on my table, the instability of this Twitch stream over the past few days, because I'd had so much desk work to do, that's behind me now. I've still got the desk work, but now at least I do have work that I can pick up to stream with. How long this little owl print's going to take, I don't know. It's not going to take all that long. I know I'm not halfway through the feathers yet, but once the feathers are done, bang, 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 leaves, that's nothing. Color blocks, flat block for the background, gray tone, gray tone. It's not a whole lot of work. But anyway, so for the next few days, though, at least, I have work to do, and we will be streaming it. So this is Monday morning. I'll be back here tonight, Monday night, with an evening stream on this. The next day is Tuesday, and it's, nominally my Ome day. Doi-san, good morning. Kai-san mo? Yep, both. Tuesday's normally an Ome day, but I was there last week. There isn't a lot of stuff for me to do, so I'm going to, I think, as I mentioned in last night's stream, I think I'm going to take a day off on Tuesday, I do believe. I haven't decided. Depends on the weather. Good morning, sir. Anyway, no stream on Tuesdays. So again, there will be a stream tonight, and they will be back to work as normal Wednesday. パーティーようやく見ました？今ストリームのやってる間にようやく2つ入ったんですね。1時から2人と2時半から2人です。10時のものもないですね。河合さん、ストリームからおはよう。Whatever, I don't know. Good morning, Kawai-san. So be polite here, be polite.
Very famous now.
So, we're all famous in this room, you know. so. The other gentleman there is Doi-san, the elderly gentleman. His daughter is working for us. If you've met Chihiro-san or Hosono-san, the girl who works Wednesdays or Thursdays, that's Doi-san's daughter. This is Doi-san here. So. I knew him from years back before we had a shop or a business. He was collecting my prints privately, and now we've roped him in to come and help us. So, the question here: 4 people back and forth. No, there's 2 people who have come in, and what they've done is we have the flag which has to go out front, and the flag is stored in the stairwell. So he unlocks the door, comes in, grabs the flag, goes back up and down, gets the poster. So the bell rings any number of times. So it's no connection with how many people are here. Doi-san, we get it. Good morning, Doi-san. So.
Good morning. Hi, this is Toshi.
あれSugu-san かな? It could be an early customer or it could be Sugu-san coming in. She's printing upstairs today. Who's coming? Just Sugu-san, I think. Yeah, just her. Aoyama-san. Soka. We're going to have a full house today. So. Good morning, Aoyama-san. Say hello to the gang. And Mokuhankan comes alive for the day. Okay, that's it. What do we got here? Let me get this print here so you can see it. Just a sec. Here it is. For those of you who just arrived, this is this year's gift print. It'll be on our website a couple of weeks from now on the woodblock.com/gift page. If people have been waiting for a couple of years for a new one, and finally we're getting something new. It's designed by supposedly Hiroshige. Not sure about that. Doesn't much matter. There's a moon in the back. We'll be dressing it up a little bit. Who knows? Whatever. Anyway, that's this year's gift print. Okay, here we are. I'm done for the day. I'll be back here tonight with the evening version of this stream for our European friends. And tomorrow, Tuesday, there will be no streams Tuesday, as is the rule recently. And Wednesday morning, this time, 2 days from now, I'll be back here. Normally. Later today, I'll grab a cup of coffee and read this stream and try and think up questions. Are you keeping the text? No, we are not going to keep the text. A couple of things. The poem doesn't make any sense anymore. It was an allusion to something it meant people back in the day. We're going to take off his name, or we're going to take off the poem. We're going to leave it as an image. It's beautiful. I think it's absolutely beautifully balanced in terms of composition and angles and stuff. And we're going to kill the text. So it's my prerogative as publisher here. Okay, again, thanks very much. See you next time. And I've got to keep remembering that my mic actually is still live, even when I'm off. Okay, here we are, shutting it down. We're going to have a live mic moment if I'm not careful.